In Year 3 of Destiny 1, Bungie introduced a much wider variety of powerful gear drops to help increase your light level as you played. You could get them from the raids, the Nightfalls, Trials of Osiris, but also legendary engram drops from the Crucible, strikes, exotic engram drops, Archon's Forge, vendor upgrade packages, Crucible weekly bounties, Iron Banner completions, and Iron Banner bounty completions. This was then significantly widened in Destiny 2, where now at the end of Year 3 of Destiny 2, players can gain powerful gear for just about anything. From completing bounties every week in Strikes, the Crucible, Gambit, as well as the Gunsmith bounties, the weekly Flashpoint, weekly campaign mission replay, Nightmare Hunt completions, Nightfall completions, 100k Nightfall runs, the Garden of Salvation raid, the Pit of Heresy and Prophecy dungeons, Crucible Valor full rank ups, Gambit Infamy full rank ups, Crucible Glory rank ups, 3 strikes, 4 Crucible playlist completions, 4 Crucible rotational playlist completions, 3 Gambit games completed either in Vanilla Gambit or Gambit Prime, Luna's Calling weekly quest from Eris, Hawthorne's weekly clan engram, Trials of Osiris, and of course Prime engram and exotic engram world drops. This doesn't even include the season's freebie drops from the Umbrella engrams, of which you start off with 3 powerful drops that are focused, and then you get 4 or 5 depending on the upgrades that you select, eventually maxing that out at the seasonal vendor for the Umbrella engrams and Season of Arrivals. That's more than 24 powerful or pinnacle drops a week, and the rank ups in the optional playlists grant even more, potentially more than 24 extra in a season. That's wild. Like that's actually wild. Bungie has diluted what it means to be powerful and to earn your power level by making powerful rewards something that players no longer strive for, but rather a checklist of chores to complete every week. And sure, it certainly helps players feel like there's always something to do in the world of Destiny, but it's too much. Like I said, power level or light level is far less meaningful now than it ever was in Destiny 1, and at this point is more of a you must be this tall to ride form of gatekeeping certain content rather than posing a challenge for the most dedicated players. Go do the same content you've done 20 times plus a week for the last year, and then you can get back to those most powerful and rewarding activities. Hey there, I'm Pfhorbear, and today we're going to take a look back a little bit at light level in Destiny 1, how it has evolved into power level in Destiny 2, why pinnacle gear and its chase should be liquidized back into the core power level grind, and how to make a player's power level feel meaningful again. Let's begin. It's no secret that Destiny players want to chase power level. They always have, and it's this chase to be the most powerful guardian that you can that made me fall in love with the game in the first place. Day 1 raids, hanging out with my friends, and being more powerful than those friends. Those are the 3 reasons I play the game. In vanilla Destiny 1, light level was a bit confusing for the general population, but if you'd played MMOs before, though back then Bungie playfully refused to call a spade, you understood in-game leveling and how Destiny made this work. You had to achieve a light level of 30, to be the absolute strongest after the game's main campaign ended. Light level at the time was achieved by the light score that was attached to rare, legendary, and exotic gear drops you'd get after hitting level 20, and occasionally before. Each of these had a max. Rare gear could reach 15 light, legendaries 27, and exotics could hit 30, and the only way that you could achieve a true light level of 30 was by completing the Vault of Glass raid to get the legendary gear from that activity, which was the only legendary gear in the game at the time that could drop a max light of 30. Back then, you only had your 3 weapons and your 4 pieces of gear that had a level associated with them. The class items back in Year 1 didn't have light level tied to them, other than, of course, the XP level you had to be to wear them. This also meant that blue gear was way more important for far longer, but that's a topic for another video. Unless you ran raids with your friends or LFG teammates, you couldn't hit the max light level. This was understandably a bit harsh, as there wasn't any form of RNG protection in place, so a lot of people were forever 29, because leg armor was especially hard to come by in VoG. And a large amount of the player base didn't have people to raid with. LFG anxiety is very real, I get it, but again, another topic for another time. So Bungie would change this and make it so that the climb in the subsequent releases got easier and easier by adding a few more sources for max light level capable gear to be earned, and this was a very welcome change. In Year 2, with the release of The Taken King, Bungie reworked the light level system. It was no longer levels 21 through 34 after House of Wolves released, but now would be the total attack and defense rating of all of your armor, weapons, Ghost Shell, and the newly introduced artifacts that could only be earned in the Court of Oryx. The max light level was initially 320, then would be raised to 335 in the April update. Following the 2016 April update, the places to get powerful drops up to the max light level were as follows: Kingsfall Hard Mode Raid, Challenge of the Elders, the repriced House of Wolves activity, the True Meaning of War Crucible Bounty, Court of Oryx Tier 3, Trials of Osiris, Iron Banner, Exotic Engrams, and the Vanguard Heroic Strike playlist. This, again, is far more manageable. This means that once you completed the Taken King campaign in Year 2, you'd end up between 170 and 240 on average. Regular drops from the world would get you up to 280 at the soft cap, then the rest of the way would be through the aforementioned sources. In my opinion, this around dozen sources for max level gear is totally acceptable, and didn't make people feel like they had to play every single day or else they'd fall behind. Year 3, like I said at the top of the video, would change this, however, and would eventually get out of hand like it is today. As I said at the beginning, power level rarely matters in Year 3 of Destiny 2, and that's partly because of how easy it is obtained, and partially also because of how few activities take advantage of it as a mechanic. The best that Destiny 2 has handled a power level increase in the last 3 years is when the Dreaming City was a terrifying place to be at the end of the Forsaken campaign when you first unlocked it, when most people were around power level 560. The enemies in the Dreaming City were a higher level than this, typically around 580, and were difficult to fight. This was like jumping into a raid, but on the scale of a destination, which is exactly what it felt like to go into certain zones in Destiny 1. You were level 20 when you stumbled across a level 24 Acolyte. They were difficult to fight until you were at their level. This approach to the Dreaming City felt very fresh and challenging, and made players want to get to 600 as fast as possible so that they could overcome the challenges and begin to uncover the secrets that laid within. Destiny has been lacking something like this ever since. When Shadowkeep released, it did so with the New Light revamp of not only the leveling system, which now starts every player at power level 750, but also made the game free to play, giving players the same original experience that D1 players had, fighting through the wall of the Cosmodrome and getting to hop in and play the first mission of Shadowkeep for free to incentivize players to pick up the expansion. Power did not even matter in the Shadowkeep campaign like it did after the Forsaken campaign ended on the Tangled Shore and then continued on in the Dreaming City. With Beyond Light coming this fall, it is reintroducing new and old players to the Cosmodrome from D1. And I'd love it if Europa, the main destination for the expansion, acted and felt more akin to that of the Dreaming City in both terms of explorability and difficulty, and a consistent difficulty as players advance through the story, gaining power from wielding the darkness for the first time. The big question here, though, is what can Bungie do about this oversaturated power grind, which now includes the pinnacle gear chase introduced with Shadowkeep, and also entertain the seasonal artifact that grants players an infinite power level boost on top of the max power level obtained through the power level and pinnacle grind. You remove both. No, I don't literally mean remove the artifact. I like some of its core concepts and what it's trying to accomplish, and I'd love to see Bungie put more into it and show us some real variety in the future, but remove the limitless power level attached to it. In my own opinion, the benefits it gives to the people who can't play as often as the more hardcore streamer level crowd is heavily outweighed by how much you have to play the game in order to get it to a level bonus that really makes a difference. I do 100%, however, mean remove the pinnacle gear chase. As I said earlier, it needs to be recombined in the power level chase and remove a large amount of the powerful sources in the game along with it. If I could have it my way, the new expansion would release after Season of Arrivals, which has a max power level of 1060 including pinnacle drops. Beyond Light releases and the new max is, let's say, 1200. That's 140 levels of power to work through, which is pretty typical for a new expansion, if not maybe a little low. Now, instead of Pinnacle Gear granting you levels from 1190 to 1200 or 1200 to 1210, you could go from 1060, again, the max this season, to 1120, let's say, which is a soft cap. Then you would have to pursue these powerful rewards to reach the remaining 60 power levels up to 1200 max. This means that the raid, the dungeon, assuming there is one, the nightfall, a new activity, again, assuming there is one, trials, and Iron Banner. That's it. 5 or 6 powerful reward sources in the game. Not, of course, only 5 or 6 powerful drops in a week, but 5 or 6 sources. Let's say we keep the prime engram, but nerf its effectiveness at granting power also. Instead of +3, maybe a +2 to give it an arbitrary number and play along with the specific breakdown I just listed above. Now, I know and understand that this might frustrate some players. Maybe Bungie has the data that shows that most people that play Destiny only play it for 5 to 10 hours a week, which might still be on the more generous side. I get it, but max power isn't something that every player should be able to achieve. Just like in Year 1 and Year 2 of Destiny 1, I believe it's something that should be telling of a hardcore player's accomplishments rather than a finishing line at the end of a long list of chores. I understand that this is obviously easier said than done, and I'm completely open to feedback on any ideas that I've presented here. Of course, I'm not a Bungie employee, and there's a good chance that no one at Bungie ever even sees this, and it slips into the void that is the YouTube algorithm. But if there's one thing I'd love to see changed in Destiny 2, it's the power level system and its value to the core game. This is how I feel Bungie can improve the power leveling in Destiny 2. I wouldn't expect all of this at once, although they did manage a pretty big overhaul on this size for the Taken King release, so it's not totally outside of the realm of possibility, I suppose. Reintroducing a system like this could also definitely help lower tier gear like greens and blues feel more useful for far longer too. I miss doing challenging things in Destiny and not feeling like a god all the time. Hopefully in the future we get to feel what it's like to be challenged in the core game again. Thank you all so much for watching. This is the first in a long list of Destiny topics I will be covering, and I hope that you found this video informative, if not at least a little entertaining. I am always looking to create discussion and not discourse, so let's keep it clean in the comments or wherever you found this video, and have a good conversation about what you think Bungie could do with power moving forward. What would you like to see out of it? Now don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you enjoy what I do, and let me know what you'd like to see in the comments below. And don't worry, like I said in my welcome to my channel video, I'm not leaving Halo behind, of course, just covering all of the games that I care about the most. Again, thank you so much for the support. It's been absolutely incredible. Don't forget you can also join the official Discord server. The link is in the description below. Now, until next time, be safe and have fun.